let me share something unusual about being quiet in our digital world. We live in a time where almost everything gets shared. Birthdays, coffee mugs, sunsets, crying, laughing, even sadness covered up with special effects. But some people stay completely hidden. They look through posts quietly, watch carefully, but almost never post anything themselves. You might even have a friend like that. Maybe you are like that yourself. And here's the question that always sits in people's thoughts. Why? Why would someone decide to stay hidden when the whole world seems to be yelling for everyone to notice them? It's simple to think that people who don't post are just timid or keep to themselves, but that's not the whole story. Under the surface, there's a complete mind science happening, one that tells us a lot about human behavior, how we see ourselves, and the silent pushback against a culture crazy about being noticed. Look, for some people, being quiet is not being empty. It's power. It's the ability to pick what the world doesn't get to see. Because whether we say it out loud or not, social media has slowly changed how we explain who we are. It gives rewards for showing off. It celebrates being loud. And still, those who stay in the background are often the ones who notice everything most sharply. They look without needing to break in. They consider things before responding. They study before deciding. Mind scientists have discovered something interesting. People who hold back from posting a lot often have more traits like self-control, thinking deeply about themselves, and not needing others for feelings. They tend to be less affected by comparing themselves to others and outside approval. In other words, they aren't working to show who they are, they're working to figure it out. And in a world overflowing with acting, that's special, because let's be real, most of what we post is not just talking, it's building an identity. It's an unplanned tryout for fitting in. Every caption, every picture, every status message says, "This is who I am, do you like me?" But when you stop posting, something changes. You start to separate your value from digital cheering. You stop thinking in captions. You begin feeling moments for yourself again instead of for a camera. And that's the hidden mind science behind many people who don't post. They want realness in a place where everything seems fake. They don't dislike social media. They just can't recognize themselves in it anymore. It's not about being against technology or against people. It's about saying no to shrinking your life into best moments only. Because when you've watched how simple it is to trick how things look, you begin caring about what can't be posted. Quietness, deepness, being imperfect, honesty. For some, the choice not to post happens after a type of feeling tired out. Maybe they once shared everything until one day it stopped seeming genuine. They figured out that every time they shared something lovely, they felt an invisible push to keep beating it. They weren't living life anymore, they were putting on a show. So they stopped quietly. No big announcement, just a slow fading from the posts. But here's what's often gotten wrong. Not posting doesn't mean not having feelings. It doesn't mean they don't care about things. It often means they care way too much about being there, about meaning, about keeping what's special safe. There's an idea in mind science called psychological ownership. It's the feeling that something belongs deeply to you, a thought, a memory, something that happened. And when you post it, that sense of it being yours fades just a bit. The moment turns into something everyone owns, ready for judgment, getting it wrong, even making fun of. So people who don't post are often protecting their sense of owning their life itself. They keep their moments safe from others, private, clean. And maybe that's not sadness or pulling away. Maybe it's a quiet type of being free. Because think about it. When was the last time you did something important and didn't feel the need to share it? When was the last time you laughed, cried, or accomplished something and didn't right away think of posting it online? That automatic reaction, that need to show off is not normal. It's learned. It's the result of 10 years of likes, shares, and feel-good brain loops teaching our brains to match approval with importance. And when someone walks outside that system, it can seem like fighting back, but it's also getting better. They begin finding again the simpleness of doing things for themselves again, making food without taking pictures of it, going places without marking it, feeling without describing it. In that place, something wakes up, a type of knowing yourself that doesn't need watchers. But not everyone who doesn't post is doing it from a spot of calmness. Some are pushed by fear, the fear of being judged, turned away, or having people get them wrong. Social media has made bigger a gentle form of worry that mind scientists call self-presentational pressure. It's the constant knowing that you're being watched even when you're not. And for many, that's tiring. They stress that what they say might be read wrong or even worse, skipped over. So they back away, not because they don't want to connect, but because the price of being visible seems too big. They want to be noticed, but only really, not on the surface. And strangely, sometimes the most quiet people online have the biggest thoughts in their brains. They're not missing. They're overfilled. They just pick stillness instead of a big show. There's a deep thinking about life feeling to that quietness. In a world that constantly says, "Look at me," picking to be invisible becomes a way of deciding who you are. It's saying, "I exist beyond how you see me." They might look through other people's lives, nodding, smiling, sometimes hurting, but they rarely throw out because they get something most don't. Not everything you go through is supposed to be watched. Sometimes the most powerful things in life, growing, sadness, changing, happen quietly, unseen, unposted. And when you've lived through enough of those private changes, you begin realizing that being unseen is not the same as not mattering. It's actually where who you are is made, not acted out. This is where the contradiction sits. Social media was built to connect us, but it often makes people feel more alone than ever. When you don't post, you stop chasing digital nearness and begin rebuilding real ones. You start noticing who checks on you without needing updates. You figure out who remembers you without reminders. That type of connection, raw, not shared online, feels heavier, warmer, and way more real. And the people who don't post, they live in that place. They build friendships that don't need proof. They find comfort in the not shared moment, and they let life happen without making it into content. Part of this is also about identity security, knowing who you are even when nobody's looking. When you're comfortable being alone with yourself, you don't need watchers to prove your importance. That's not thinking you're better, it's peace. And strangely, the same people who don't post often have the most cool stories to share, but they save them for when you're sitting across the table, not across the screen. Because real connection to them isn't counted in comments or likes. It's in shared quietness, in eyes meeting, in laughter that doesn't need witnesses. These are the people who hold worlds inside them, who think deeply, watch constantly, and get things quietly. They don't need the world to clap for their existence, they just need to live it. And maybe, just maybe, in a world so desperate to be noticed, their silence isn't a problem. It's a mirror, a reminder that not everything meaningful has to be shared. That sometimes the most human thing you can do is to keep something completely for yourself. You know what's amazing? The longer someone stays away from social media, the more they start to see the world differently. Colors seem brighter, time seems slower, talks feel fuller. It's as if stepping away from the loudness makes everything real again, because when you stop acting, you start experiencing. There's a quiet beauty in walking through life without needing proof of every step. You're not thinking about angles or lighting or captions. You're just there, completely alive, inside the moment instead of outside it. And that's something social media hardly lets us do anymore. But the mind science behind this goes deeper than liking or taste. It's based in how our brains handle approval. Every time we post something online and it gets attention, likes, comments, hearts, our brain lets out dopamine, the same chemical involved in reward and addiction. Over time, we start to want that approval. We begin thinking in terms of shareable experiences instead of real ones. Now picture someone who fights that loop. Someone who on purpose chooses to disconnect from the dopamine cycle. That's not caring, that's control. It takes knowing yourself to fight something built to keep you stuck. People who don't post often have a strong internal locus of control, a mind science term meaning their sense of importance and happiness comes from inside, not from outside approval. They don't need the digital echo of "you're good enough to believe it." And here's what's even more cool. Research shows that people who take long breaks from posting or looking at social media content often feel a noticeable increase in feeling stable and life happiness. Because when your sense of who you are is no longer being constantly shown back to you, it becomes solid, it becomes real. You're no longer editing your life into something easy to swallow. You're living it in all its messy, beautiful, unfiltered realness. And maybe that's the real fighting back, to stay complete in a world that rewards pieces. But quietness online doesn't always mean calmness. Sometimes it hides being worn out. For many, social media became a place where they once looked for connection, but ended up feeling emptied. There's a gentle feeling tiredness that comes from seeing everyone's best moments while you're still trying to put together your own backstage. You begin comparing even when you don't mean to. You begin questioning your importance even when you know better. And eventually some people decide to step away, not out of anger, but out of protecting themselves. They realize they don't owe the world an act. They don't owe an explanation for their quietness. And they don't need to keep showing they're happy just to be trusted. That's one of the quiet truths of this generation. We've mixed up being visible with being valuable. We think that to matter, we must be noticed. But real meaning doesn't need witnesses. Some of the most meaningful moments of your life, the ones that shape who you are, will happen without a single person watching. No cameras, no captions, no audience, just you. And maybe that's what those who don't post get best. They know that privacy is not being lonely, it's closeness with yourself. Because when you stop sharing every thought, you begin hearing your own again. You begin reconnecting with the parts of you that got lost in the noise. Your quiet wishes, your unspoken fears, your inner guide. And that's something deeply spiritual in today's world. It's not a pulling away, it's a coming home. Of course, it's not always peaceful. There are moments of wondering, of questioning if quietness makes you invisible, if you're falling behind while everyone else is showing progress. But with time, you begin noticing something beautiful. Your importance doesn't vanish when nobody's looking. It's still there, steady, like the hum of a quiet room after a storm. And maybe that's what real confidence looks like. Not the loud announcing of self online, but the calm knowing of self offline. Some people say, if you didn't post it, did it even happen? But the truth is, things that shape you most rarely make it to the feed. Your growth, your heartbreaks, your private wins, your quiet acts of kindness, they live in memory, not media. And maybe that's enough. When mind scientists talk about real self-expression, they stress congruence, the matching between who you are inside and who you show to the world. But in the age of filters, that matching is constantly twisted. You start to live as a copy of yourself picked for approval. So when someone chooses not to post, it might be their way of staying matched, of protecting that delicate truth between their inner and outer world. They don't need everyone to see what they're feeling to prove that it's real. They don't need to capture every sunset to remember how it felt. They live their life fully and quietly. And here's the contradiction. Those who live quietly often feel life most strongly. They're not pulled away by the acting of it. They soak up details others miss. The way light changes on a wall, the pause before someone talks, the sound of faraway laughter. They are there, and being there is the rarest treasure in a world built on attention. But sometimes that very being there makes them misunderstood. People might label them as disconnected, mysterious, even cold. But if you look harder, their silence isn't emptiness, it's deepness. It's the calm that comes from no longer needing to explain yourself to be understood. There's a quiet confidence that comes from not needing to be known by everyone, just understood by a few. And that's what the people who don't post get best. They know that not every truth is meant for the crowd, that some parts of you deserve to stay untouched by computer programs and opinions. Because once something becomes public, it stops being only yours. It belongs to interpretation, to judgment, to trend. And maybe some moments are too special for that. So the next time you notice someone who never posts, don't think they're hiding. Maybe they're just living. Maybe they found peace in the quiet corners of existence, the ones not lit by the blue glow of a screen. Maybe they're the ones who've remembered what the rest of us forgot. That being unseen doesn't mean being alone. That being quiet doesn't mean being empty. That sometimes the truest way of showing who you are is silence. Because in the end, we're not meant to be performances. We're meant to be people. And the people who don't post, they remind us of that every quiet, unfiltered, beautifully invisible day.